for your air candy with K&K. The music never sleeps. Get ready for your sugar high with coffee and candy.
Oh yeah, yes. Cisco Kennedy in the studio. We got a special guest today. You might know his name. You might have his edits. If you are a DJ of any caliber, whether you're a club DJ, a mobile DJ. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Pete Down.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
How we doing today?
We're good.
When I was growing up as a DJ, I would always see this one name come up all the time on record pools as I started to get familiar with the edits in the remix game. And that name was Pete Down. I kept singing Pete Down. I said, who is this guy putting out all this great work? This was on like the early stages before all these, apps, before Instagram and all like this stuff. And then we had met like a few years ago at like a DJ conference, I think. It kind of clicked. I said, oh, now I can put a face to the name. And then we started kind of talking. We've even done some shows together, some local events where we've been on the same card, like Tel Aviv, downtown in Providence.
Yep.
I know that we both do that. So with the Coffee and Candy podcast, I said, hey, let's get Pete on the show and let's just learn a little bit more about who he is and what he does.
All right.
I know I myself have been at this about 18 years. I think you're well over me.
Oh, if we're talking about the whole thing?
Yeah, like DJing, like in general.
From the beginning?
Yeah.
Ooh, we're going way back. I started back in 89.
Okay, so I was born in 87.
Like 30 years in this game now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time, dude. Boys getting up there in age.
And, but you're still at it. Like, you're still doing shows.
Still active, still doing shows.
Still performing.
Still editing.
You do both. You do club and mobile gigs, right?
I do. Yeah, I mean, that's how I grew up. So I started with a lot of mobile gigs. Back then, birthday parties and Sweet 16s was the thing.
That's exactly how I yep.
And teen dances. What kind of like led to the club work, the teen dances. I even started doing weddings for people at a young age. So yeah, I've always done the private events as well too.
Now, when you first started, what did you use for equipment? Because I know I got really not blessed, but spoiled with all like the digital technology.
Sure did. I started with 1200s, the turntables. Yep.
Okay.
Well, actually, they weren't my first set. Wasn't 1200s. They were just some like, hi-fi regular 12 techniques. They didn't even have a pitch control on them. But once I got some money up, started saving, then I got myself a set of 1200s eventually.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And then
the turntables.
Like how I discovered someone like yourself on record pools. Obviously, were there record pools back in the late 80s? I think they were, but they obviously weren't as accessible like online platforms.
Right, exactly. So you have like X-Mix, dude. Like they go back.
Okay.
They really do. Pressing vinyl back then, doing remixes, just kind of like what they do now, but on vinyl, And that's how I was getting their remixes on vinyl back in the day.
Okay.
And there might have been a few others that were doing that too, like AV8. They started early too. Back in the 90s, they were doing things. Crooklyn Clan, that's how they blew up, was off of AV8 Records. I don't know if AV8 made Crooklyn Clan or Crooklyn Clan made AV8. I would say Crooklyn Clan made AV8 because I didn't really know about AV8 until Crooklyn Clan came out. But yeah, AV8 was putting out a lot of those remixes and stuff. Like, they were different though back then because like now you take a remix for X-Mix, let's say, and it doesn't change much. It still kind of stays within the same song. Back then, it'd be like 5, 6, 7 songs in one. So
really?
It was more like a multi-mix.
Okay.
Versus just a remix,
Okay.
But it was different then, you know what I mean? So it would be like, if there was like 5 hot songs out at that time, they'd put all 5 of them hot songs into one and make like a mega mix or something. So that was really popular back then. So the remixes weren't so much just to one song, you know what I mean? Like focused on that one individual record.
Yeah.
It'd be like a collage of songs into one record that would make that remix.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it was cool though.
With the remixing, yeah, I've always been a fan of hearing a song and saying, I like this. This is great for what it is. But I hear something a little different that I would like to play when I DJ.
Right.
And that's what really got me started with doing remixes.
And that's what makes it fun too, right?
Right. So besides being a DJ, started like in the late 80s. When did that kind of hit you to say, I think I want to flip these with my own style, like with my own taste? I want to give it the Pete Down stamp.
That's a tough question because, I mean, I was already doing a lot of production stuff in the 90s.
Okay.
But it was more original stuff. So, like, when I got into doing production, it was mostly originals. I wasn't really taking the records and remixing them for myself to go play out.
Okay.
Because you'd have to press it on wax. And
yeah.
I didn't have the accessibility to do that. You know what I mean? So, I was dabbing a lot into the production, and I was doing, like, mostly original production, working with, like, rappers and artists. So that's what I was doing in the 90s. So it wasn't until the 2000s that software made it more accessible, where I can go ahead and, you know, and put it on CD. But it wasn't even in that era. It was when Serato came out, I think, is when I started dabbing into the remix stuff.
So that was a game changer for you.
Yes. Serato, I think, actually made it a game changer for me, because that's when I knew it was like, I can actually flip this and actually go play it now. Where before I didn't. You know, it was never in, like, the mindset wasn't to, I want to make a remix and get it out there at the time, you know? It was just, let me do this remix because this is something I want to play, you know? And I could never do that until Serato was available, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, probably before that I could have burnt it onto a CD, but again, I didn't use CDs. I was playing vinyl right up until Serato. I actually had to, I remember when Serato first came out and I got it, I spent like over a month, dude,
learning it
every day in the studio. No, making copies of my records.
Oh, okay.
Just burning them onto CD to rip them into the computer.
Yeah, see, I'm really spoiled.
You know what I'm saying? So that I'd have all those, every song I needed.
Yeah.
So okay, oh, bang, I'm done with that crate. Now I don't need to take that crate to the club no more. And I can just go with my hard drive and my 2 crates. You know what I'm saying? Every crate I would get through, I'd be like, oh, that's one less crate I have to carry now to the club. Till I got to the point where there was no more crates, you know?
I see.
But I would always take one with me, just in case something didn't happen to the computer, you know, computer-wise or whatever.
Yep.
I could always just flip right to the
the
crate. But yeah, it wasn't until that era that I was able to actually, you know, stop getting into remixing like we do now. You know.
When you were like recording, you were saying you were doing like original stuff with artists, with rappers. Like, would you then take those and like play them when you would DJ?
Again, no, because I couldn't get them on wax.
All right.
You know, so it was a lot changed in the 2000s to me as a DJ, and I'm sure other DJs as well too, because it wasn't. I didn't feel like it was up until that time that I could actually play songs that I liked, that I created, you know, or remixed that I liked, that I wanted to be able to play in the club, you know. Unless I did the mix live, you know, if it was a blend or something I could do live. I had the acapella on wax and I had, you know, the instrumental, then I could just do the mix live. But up until that point, it was not. I never had that opportunity, you know.
Interesting. I don't think people really understand the amount of work that goes into doing this stuff.
Right.
They see a DJ up there playing, they think he's just pressing buttons. And it is a lot more than that, especially if you are someone of our caliber who we don't only DJ, we remix, we produce, we edit. And like for me, you know, I go all by ear. I am not like musically trained. Are you?
Same way.
You had any classes,
Never.
any courses in
Nothing.
like music theory?
Still can't play a keyboard.
I just kind of fiddle around.
Yeah, same
and
here.
with obviously the software, it tells me if I'm hitting a
Right.
C minor or an F sharp. And then I can kind of get like an understanding of what I want. If I hear something within about 15 minutes, I can figure out the melody.
Yep.
But I'm no Mozart where I can just play with all 10 fingers.
I
wish.
could. Me too.
However, like I will say, I am going to be taking some classes next year because I actually really want to learn how to play the piano.
I hear you.
I think once I do, I will be a complete different beast,
Yeah, right. You will.
Right?
You will. Absolutely.
right?
Because then, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, like, I I love to like come up with ideas as far as like whether it's a bass line melody or you know, a top melody, whatever it is, you know, that's in my head, you know what I mean? And then when I go try to play it, it's like I spend so much time trying to figure out the key that I start losing focus of the melody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like because I'm trying to, you know. But if I feel like if you're trained to know how to play, you can already get that rhythm a lot quicker because you're not trying to figure out the key. You already know how to play the keys. You know what I'm saying?
I just hope that when I do obtain that skill, I don't lose some of the creativeness.
Yeah.
Because some of the songs that I create, the magic is in not knowing how to play.
But you might get more creative though, because once you
I hope so.
stop playing, now you're gonna be like playing and practicing. You're gonna start coming up with more melodies and more ideas while you're right there on the keyboard playing. I feel that you will get more creative with it.
Have you ever been working on a remix or on like an original on like production, and like you're halfway through it, you got it going good, and then say you want to add like a counter melody or something, like you bring up a new like VST, you hit one note and you say, this is a whole nother song, file save, opening up, and it's just one hit of the right pad or the right synth sound, and you're like, holy shit, what is this? It doesn't go with this, but I can't lose this. That's what I do. File save, copy. And that happens. That happens a lot with me. Like within making a song, I'm also now starting other records. It's just part of the like the creative process. If you are any sort of a songwriter or I'm like a producer, perhaps you know what we're talking about, that feeling you get when you're in the studio, you're in that creative process, and then something just speaks to you you have to stop everything you're doing, right? Because you don't want to lose that. And to me, that's the true essence of the magic.
It's crazy because we have so many sounds nowadays. You know what I mean? And then you have so many VSTs. So it's like back in the day, you would need like 5 or 6 different keyboards, where now it's like at your keyboard on your mouse, you have 15 keyboards, you know, synthesizers, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so you have tons of sounds. So when you're going through these sounds, because that's me, I'm digging through these sounds to find that sound to complement this beat I'm working on. I come across like 10 other sounds that I love. And I'm like, oh, that sounds so good. It might not work with this. But it's like, I got to write it down or something to keep I can't remember all the sounds, so I have to write it down or something to go back to that sound. You need to do something with that sound. You know what I mean? Like, because there's just too much good shit out there. It's like you don't want to.
It is. I am a VST whore. I'm a sound junkie.
I can get like that too sometimes. You know.
I want every sound kit. Right. All genres. All genres. I want it all. Do you have a favorite like VST or like plugin? Or
I used to use Massive a lot. Like
from Native Instruments.
We're talking about like a synth, right?
Yeah.
So like I used to use Massive a lot, and I still do because sometimes I go to and I'm like, because you can remember things from certain VSTs that like, oh yeah, I remember using the bass from that, you know, and I like the sound.
Certain patch,
whatever it is.
You know, you can save it as your favorites, right? You can bring it back up.
So it's like I go to it, you know. But I've been using Serum a lot with Serum. I use the Avenger. I like Avenger.
I do too.
I think that's like a little secret weapon.
That is my number one.
Isn't it crazy? Like a lot of people they sleep on that.
I can't count how many thousands of dollars I spent in expansion packs.
Dude, it's a great synth. Yeah, so like those are my 2 top ones really.
Okay.
Oh, and I use, you know, Contact a lot too because I mean I have a nice Contact library and
Native Instruments one.
Yeah, and I use it for both things. Like I have Output.
Okay.
So I use Output through the Contact. So I like a lot of their sounds, you know. Like those are like my top 3. So I would say I use Serum the most, Contact the second most, and then, you know, I still lean on Massive stuff too.
Okay. And like your Dora choice is Ableton, right?
Yeah. I'm using Ableton now for, I don't even know, maybe 8-9 years.
Yeah.
Probably about that. I was late to Ableton though, because I was on. I started in the 2000s with Cakewalk.
Really?
Right? And I hated it. And then I got into Cubase, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So I got into Cubase, but at the same time, I was doing like editing and mashups and all that type of stuff on Sony Acid.
That's how I started.
So then I just ran with Sony. Dude, I ran with Sony Acid until like 2012, 2013, maybe even 2014 before I switched over to Ableton. And then I was just like, everybody's on Ableton. I need to learn that software.
Yeah.
Why ain't I using Ableton? Like,
I think it was 2004, 2005 when I started with Sony Acid Pro on a PC.
yeah.
I probably did that till about 2009. And then in about 2009, I started networking with a few people that were part of different record labels. And I was hanging around them like to the point where they were like, hey, if you don't know Pro Tools, you don't know Logic,
Right.
we really can't work with you, you know, as far as file sharing back and forth. If you want to try to kind of make it in this game,
Right.
you need to know these platforms. So
That's what
I did. I switched over to a Mac. Best decision of my life. I know some people are like hardcore PC users and some people are hardcore Mac users.
Yeah.
I'm a hardcore Mac user. I'll never go back. And I learned Logic. I've been on Logic now for 12 years. It is my DAW of choice. And then I used to use like Pro Tools heavily when I owned a big recording studio, and I recorded a lot of local guys. I was on like Pro Tools like 12 hours a day. And I still love the Pro Tools grid. I know each of the DAWs, they all have different ups and downs about them,
Right.
Like pros and cons. But as far as the grid, which to anyone out there who is a producer, everyone knows like the grid is Bible. That's the tape measure. That's the ruler, right? That's
Right.
where everything's being made on the grid. And I think that like Pro Tools has the best grid.
Yeah.
The way that things just lock in, that's what I miss about them. I still have it. I can still access it, but I do everything now in Logic. So you're 100% Ableton.
100% Ableton. The only thing I like you said, there's a lot of things people like and dislike. And one that always comes to mind with Ableton is not having a clock, a running clock. Like Logic has, like
I'm
Pro
surprised
Tools
there's no update,
Like,
no add-on to
dude,
just
that
add
is
that.
like I hate their clock. That's the one thing. It's like I need a clock. I want to know that I'm on the third beat of the 68th bar. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I like to know that. I like to know like I'm at 2 minutes and 37 seconds into the record without having to go into that little corner and bringing up the little box to see. And it's so small and tiny in the corner. Like that's the one thing I hate about Ableton. Like,
Yeah.
You need a running clock. Like, this is a production software. It's got to be a running clock on this thing. And that's the only thing. That's my only gripe.
Okay.
With software.
Well,
You know what I mean?
if,
as far as everything else, I love it.
Yeah, if anyone's out there listening, you have any ties to Ableton,
But again, I think it's because I came
Pete
up.
Down wants the clock.
Right. And I think it's because I came up on software like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
You know, back to the roots, Cubase and, Sony Acid, even those had clocks. Like, come on. You should have a clock.
A couple weeks ago, I was in upstate New York at like a good friend of mine's studio, Davey D, and he uses Ableton, and he was showing me, everything that he does, and then I was showing him everything that I do with Logic. We were going back and forth and comparing it.
Right.
One of the things that we both agreed on is with Ableton, the look of it aesthetically kind of looks a little outdated, and I don't know if you agree with that as far as just
I would say it looks different.
yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, when I see like Logic and Pro Tools or what's the other PreSonus one? I forget the name of that.
Fruity
one.
Loops.
Real popular.
Like Studio One.
Yeah, like the Studio One.
So
like
many of them.
Cubase, but like those four right there,
Yep.
all kind of look similar. Like different in their own way, but they still have like the similar kind of layout. I would say. Like when you look at Fruity Loops, it's already completely different looking than any of those.
Yeah.
Just like Ableton to me seems different looking than any of those. You can't say look at Ableton and you compare it to.
True.
It doesn't
I just
look
think
like Logic.
for as being a worldwide international platform that
Right.
Ableton is,
Yeah.
I just think that they would put a little more effort into just the look
The look of it.
of it. I don't know. It just looks a little outdated. Like with Logic has a nice, clean, sleek look.
Yeah.
Like with Fruity Loops, theirs looks like an old video game in a way, right? That's just me. But I know there's different skins you can have with Ableton. You can have it
Yeah.
in different modes. Some of them just are kind of an ISO. I guess
Right.
that's what I'm getting at. It's like when I look at the Ableton screen,
Yeah.
it's an eyesore to me. Maybe that's just because I don't use it all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I keep mine real simple. Like I have I think the light gray or whatever it is.
All right.
It's the most generic.
Like it works for you.
Yeah, because I don't again, you're staring at the screen for so long. You want something that's going to be easy on the eyes.
Yeah.
So I tend to go with that one, I guess.
Yep. I've dabbled in it lightly. I've talked to some people about kind of making the switch or learning it. Because I know as a remixer, one of the biggest advantages that Ableton has
Right. Because
is
I would say the warping.
that's exactly what I was going to get at.
Yeah.
Like the warp tool, which is very popular when it comes to making things like the transition edit, right?
Oh,
That's something that is not so easily done in all the other DAWs.
Right. It took me forever to figure out how to do a transition edit in Sony Vegas, Sony Acid when I had that.
Yeah.
I was like, how the hell do you do this? Like, it took me forever to figure it out. And then it wasn't like you can just go on YouTube and put up a tutorial because nobody was really even using Sony Acid at the time like that, right? So I'm like, it took me forever. I think it was one of my friends who tipped me off on how to do it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's how you do it?
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't do it now. I already forgot the steps.
Really?
If I went back into Sony Acid, yeah.
Like for those who don't know, like a transition edit is when the song is gonna go from one tempo to the other, something kind of very popular where maybe it starts at 128 just to kind of beat match in, but then you're gonna kind of switch up your genre, maybe go now into more hip hop, more kind of the like the 90s and like 110. So like you need to kind of get there somehow without just doing a complete tempo switch. So like a transition edit is something that is very popular that we use in the DJ world to kind of jump around from genre to genre as we're playing our sets, right?
Yep.
I don't use them too much.
Me neither. I stopped using them. And it's funny you brought it up because I was thinking about that on the way here. I'm like, whatever we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking about transitions for some reason. And I'm like, damn, I remember doing so many of them. I was like doing them all the time because I knew how popular they were. And I knew DJs needed them and relied on them. And then I just stopped using them. And then I was still making the edits for like another year, I think, of transition edits. And I'm like, why am I still making these? I don't even use these anymore. Like, because a lot of times, a lot of the edits, especially when I'm editing, like, I'm not talking like making a remix from scratch. I'm talking about just simple edits. When I edit, it's because I need the edit for myself to go play in the club.
Okay.
I'm already at the club thinking, I like this, but this needs to be reworked into the way I like to play or whatever, right? So I'm thinking of the transitions and I'm like, wow, I really stopped using them. Like, I don't even use them anymore because I got into like slamming edits. So
Those are very popular now.
And I'll tell you because I started using more of those because I'd be at 128 and then I would just slam right into 90 BPM because I didn't want to wait 4 bars, 8 bars of mixing time to get down to that tempo. And I'd rather just slam into it. And I enjoyed the response from the crowd.
Yeah.
It would be more of an impact to them because they'd be like, and then, we're over here now, right, with the tempo. And it would just like, it would actually stop people in it while they're dancing, which is crazy because that's not what you want to do in a club. But the impact on the crowd and the reaction you'd get from it was more powerful to me than transitioning down from 128 down to 90 BPM or from 128 house to reggaeton. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I don't really download them so often. Maybe once in a while if there's like a whole pack, I'll just grab it to have it.
Yeah.
But just kind of taking a moment to think about it, I don't think I ever go into those like folders to play. Again, this is just like another, I'm a music whore,
Yeah,
I'm a
me
music
too.
junkie.
Dude.
I need to have it all, even though I don't play 90% of it.
Right.
But I just love being a collector of
Right.
edits and just
I get
sounds and music. Some people collect baseball cards, some people
Right.
collect cards, right? I collect music and sound packs. That's just what I do.
I get it.
Right?
I'm the same way.
Like, you understand me.
Oh, I absolutely understand. And it's funny you say that because sometimes I'm downloading music and I'm like, I know I'm not going to play this, but I'm still downloading it because I like it. You know what I mean? And I need it.
And
I
you
might
just
never
never know.
play.
It's it's very interesting how we perceive like the music now, and people's attention spans are so short to where songs are not even getting like the full play anymore.
Yep.
Which is it's not new, but it's been getting shorter and shorter and shorter to where
Crazy.
it like even like when we do our edits, you know, there's the quick edits, which is kind of taking that song that's a normal 3.5 minute song, and we just kind of get right down to the good parts, make it like 1.5 minutes, like 2 minute max, right? And that's something that's very popular that we use as a tool when we play.
Yep.
Very rarely now, if you're a modern DJ, are you playing original versions. 99% of everything that I play is
even like a short
remix
version.
of some form.
Even like a shorter version. So if
Yep.
the song is like 4 minutes, I cut it down to 2.5, 3 minutes.
Yep.
And I usually go right and take that, like the bridge part,
Yep.
just eliminate that.
Yeah.
Just have the two verses and the 2 hooks and we out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I can't even do the bridge part. Unless the bridge part is something that you know the crowd's going to sing along to or whatever, then it has to go.
But now it's just intro, hook, verse,
Yeah.
and then out.
Oh, that's a quick edit, you know?
Right? And that used to be very popular in the hip hop community, right? When you go to like a nightclub and every other minute they'll be switching it up, switching it up. That seems to be the way now with just about all genres,
Right.
right?
You're right. Absolutely.
And I think it just has a lot to do with people's attention spans. After about 60 seconds or something, they just want to hear something. It doesn't matter how good the record is. It doesn't matter how big the record is.
Crazy.
Yeah, and what that means for us is that we need to now play more songs in our sets.
Yep.
In an average 4 hours, what are we playing? 60 songs? Maybe we're playing more now because we're only playing 2 minutes.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think, see, that has its pros and cons though, because there's certain songs that you kind of gotta wait and let it play, let the record breathe in a sense, because some people want to hear that song, and if you cut it short, then you're gonna start getting the dagger eyes from the girls because they wanted to keep playing, you to keep playing a record. So you gotta pay attention to your crowd when you do that.
They want to sing along to it.
So you can't just go there, put your head in your laptop and quick mix all night. You can't do that.
No, I'm someone where I'm always very engaged with the crowd,
and I think you have to be, man.
and their response to what I'm doing.
Right.
Maybe I do this a little too much.
I think that's how I gauge the quick mixing aspect of things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I do. Like if I'm watching the crowd, that's how I gauge whether I should be quick mixing or not. So if I play a song, okay, boom. Oh, how are they reacting to this? Are they feeling it? If they're feeling it, then I'm gonna keep it going. If they're not feeling it, then I'm cutting short. Quick mixing out into the next record. I don't need a quick edit mix to do that. I can do that with any edit. You know what I mean? It's just paying attention to your crowd. I think that's where the quick mixing aspect comes into play for me. Anyway, so
now I'm gonna put you on the spot for a moment. Like I think I know the answer, but in your set, do you play the majority of your own Pete Down edits, or do you not?
I mean, there's times I don't. But then there's times I do because I made those edits particularly for me to use. You know what I'm saying? So it's like certain edits, certain edits, no. I mean, there's tons of stuff that I've never even played that I've made. You know what I mean? And then it is stuff that I use all the time that I've made, So a lot has to do with like that whole thing when you're in the club, right? And you're working and you're like, damn, I wish I had an edit of this that you already know how you want it to go, right? So you will go to the studio the next day or the next week and you work on that edit. And then that sometimes becomes that edit that you will always lean to.
Like your go-to.
Yeah.
Like
you know
for
what
that
I'm saying?
song.
So I have certain edits that are Pete Down edits that I play like religiously every week.
Okay.
Or every night, And then there's certain that I never even played ever. You know what I'm saying? Like
I honestly, I don't play a lot of my own stuff.
Yeah, and there's certain things that you do that you're like, yeah, it's cool, but I don't think I've ever played it.
Yeah. I think what keeps me making edits week after week, month after month, year after year, is I know that there are other DJs that really appreciate
and rely on it.
Exactly. And like rely on my edits. And that's why I continue to make them.
Yep.
Being a a contributor to the DJ community.
Right.
That is kind of like one of my roles that I take a lot of pride in. But like myself, maybe it's just my style of DJing, or it's just I'm a big fan of playing other people's work. I enjoy your work.
Yeah, I enjoy playing your stuff. I'm and a whole ton of other DJ stuff too. You know what I mean?
And sometimes I forget that I have a version that I made of this because I'm a fan too. I'm a fan of different DJs, different editors, different remixers.
Exactly.
And sometimes I just simply forget that I also have a folder that are all mine too. There's a lot of music out there. So many great versions of songs.
Oh yeah.
And like whether you have an acapella in or something that is like a transition or something that jumps from like the original to a remix, there's certain things that I gravitate towards, and it's not always like what I make,
right?
You know. And plus, I'm very hard on myself, and some of the stuff that I put out, other people might love, and in my mind, I'm like, this could use a lot of work, right? I'm just like, I'm very hard on the stuff that I make. I get it to a point where I know, okay, this is good to get out there, but if I listen to it too much, I'm going to want to go and edit and change things. And maybe that's why I don't play my own stuff.
Possible, dude.
It's kind of like, I know there's some actors that don't watch their own movies.
Right.
Like they can't.
Yeah.
They spend 8, 9, 12 months on set doing this like performance, and they never even seen their own movie.
And I'm sure there are artists that don't even want to listen to their own music either, who record their own stuff and you know, number one song on the radio, and they don't even want to hear their album. Yeah. Their own album.
I think like part of being an artist, unfortunately, we have that trait of being a perfectionist, which doesn't exist. And that's kind of what drives us mad over time. And I think that's why in a professional world, when you're an artist signed to a label, once you are done laying your vocals down, you are not allowed in the mixing session, because you will never be satisfied, and then like the record will never go out. So that's why it goes into the hands of the mix engineer, the mastering engineer, and then everyone kind of signs off on it. But if that artist was in the room the whole time, like listening to every little tweak being made, the record would never get done.
And I can feel their pain, because I'm kind of like that when I'm like doing my own original remixes, and I'm doing all my own original production type stuff.
See?
Because I'll sit there and, I'm so picky, like with the mix having to be perfect, and maybe just another dB on that sound, or maybe if I pan that a little bit more to the left, and then I render it down and then go listen to it in the car, or listening to it on my earbuds, and I'm like, now you're hearing something else ain't right. I should have turned that up, or I should have lowered this. You know what I mean? Like, and that's my downfall. Like sometimes with why I don't even put out my own remixes, like original stuff, or putting out original music and just in general, because you're so picky about certain things at the end of the day. And I can see why people are like that.
Yeah,
I have that tendency too.
Yeah. Plus, we kind of work alone in a way where we are isolated for the most part. It's not that I don't enjoy having people around me. I work best when I'm isolated.
Absolutely.
I work best when it's just me, when I can focus on things. And then once it's to a point where I think, okay, let me show this to a few people. I'm going to show it to Johnny, see what he thinks about this. He'll come in the studio. He'll add his little tweaks to it. I think you should have 8 more bars of this, and then drop this sound and bring it back in. I said, you know what? Yeah, I didn't see it that way, because I've been in the loop of it all friggin' all day, all week.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that other perspective to help get the record to the final product. And the way that we've been working lately is Johnny actually comes up with the idea for the remix. He goes, hey, I think we should flip this next. Then I'll start working on it. I'll get it to a point where, okay, I like it. So now let me see if he likes it. He'll come in the studio. He'll add his little pointers to it. Like, we'll complete it. And that's really been the way that we've been doing the last, 10 records or so. So I think we finally found a formula. Which takes a little pressure off me, because I know it's not just all on my shoulders anymore. Right?
Sometimes you feel like you got to let go of the chain a little bit.
Yeah.
Because now you're working with someone else. You're not just by yourself. When you're by yourself, like you said, you're just so isolated, and it's just you in that box. and you know what you want, and you're just trying to create that. And then it's like, so for you to open up and say, okay, let somebody else in,
Yeah.
and give their input, that takes a lot too, though, because you have to be open-minded. And sometimes you're just like, I think I like it my way, because you have that idea in your head the whole time.
That's the
And you
scary part.
So like for you to do that, you're letting go of that chain a little bit. That I props for doing that.
Yeah. It
Because that ain't easy. I know it ain't easy.
No. It took me quite some time to allow someone else into
Right.
my creative
Space.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like the studio is my temple.
Oh, I get it.
It is a very spiritual place to me. And I don't mean like religion wise.
Right.
But I have a very big energy connection
Being in the studio.
to my sounds, the frequencies. When I'm playing like a bass line or like an arpeggiator, I'm big with the arpeggiators.
Yeah.
And I play that one note and I record it and I put it on an 8-bar loop and I get up and I'm pacing back and forth in the studio. I'm here in the studio, my body, like physically, but my mind,
It's out there.
I'm in an arena.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And
You're already
the
in
lights
another
just
world.
came up
Yeah.
and the crowd's roaring, right? And that's the mindset like that I go into. That's what feeds the energy to now build on that one loop, right? That's the essence that happens when I am creating. And when you have other people around you, sometimes you lose that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it can't be easy, especially when you're, most of the time, you're working by yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you get so used to that rhythm of, doing you.
Yeah. But the downside to that, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, is after so many years of being isolated, I know, and like my wife had actually pointed this out to me many, many years ago, I start to lose some of my communication skills with people.
Right.
And just kind of just like knowing how to get out of work mode.
Right.
I'm a workaholic,
I know the feeling.
day in, day out. Sometimes she would have to call me and say, "Are you coming home?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah. I've been in the studio for 14 hours,
Right.
right? Haven't even ate much all day because I love food. But that is the one thing that curbs my appetite
All right.
is creating music.
And-
I could be in the studio all day.
And you don't even know what the time is sometimes. You're down there, like,
Especially
my
you.
situation, yeah. I'm like, I don't even know what time it is, dude. It's like 3-4 hours just went by, and I'm like, I feel like I've been only in the studio for an hour.
Yeah.
That's how fast time goes when you're,
Yeah.
you're enjoying what you're doing, I guess.
Is there a perfect time or
me?
a day, night that you find is like your magic hour, like to create or just to do edits in general?
When I was younger, it was later. Like later in the day, like
Talking
evening.
9, 10, 11 at night?
Yeah, I would say anytime after 6.
Okay.
After 6 p.m., like I would get into that rhythm, and then just be like, then I could just go to like 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but it would stop later in the day. Now that I'm older, like it starts like earlier in the day, but not in the morning. I'm not a morning person at all. So
No?
like my magic time is like after 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Like it starts, like I'll get up, but around 12 o'clock, I'm like going through the whole email thing and that aspect of things. You know what I mean? Like the emails and responding and all that type of stuff. And so I try to get that out of the way, and then any personal stuff that I got to do, I'll do that first. Because once you get into the studio mode, there's nothing worse than having to stop to go do something else. Like I hate it. Like absolutely. Like especially if I'm working on something and I'm into what I'm working on. Like when I'm, when you're locked in.
Yeah, well, like when you're focused.
Yeah, when you're locked in, it's hard to just stop what you're doing. All right, I gotta go. Gotta go do this, or I gotta attend this phone call. Whatever it is, you gotta do, and it drives me nuts. You know what I'm saying? That I have to stop and then go back. So yeah, I mean, usually for me, it's later in the afternoon. I would say like evening time, locked in time. Like anytime after 4 to 8, that 4 to 8 window, locked in. Like don't even look at my phone. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I am like fortunate that being a remixer is my full-time job.
Right.
So I'm in the studio day in, day out, weekends, weekdays. I don't really think I have like a preference. I enjoy getting up early in the studio. Sometimes I'm in here at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'm in here at 9 o'clock at night. I always try to like allow myself a certain amount of hours though.
Right.
If I know that I got a lot of stuff going on today, and I only have like an hour or two in the studio, sometimes I just won't even come to the studio.
Right.
Because it's almost a tease. And
Yeah.
like you said, once you get going and those gears get turning and you start getting like creative, it's very hard to just stop.
Yep.
Especially when you are working with something with an expectation. When, you know, with doing edits, they have a certain deadline maybe that they have to be sent out. You can't just sort of wing those. They have to be done a certain way, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like we could talk all day.
Oh, you know that.
All night. So many subjects.
Way too
You know,
many.
there's not many people that wear all the hats that we wear.
Right.
Being a DJ.
Or who can relate to what we do.
Yeah,
Because
but
that's like you were saying earlier. It's like your wife even had to tell you, like, hey, you know, you start losing social skills and you know, communication skills because you're so locked into yourself in that studio. I feel the same way. Like sometimes I feel like awkward being around people that I don't really know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I don't really know how to like, you know, what they're into or, you know, because they don't know what I'm into. You know what I mean? Like, so like, how do we communicate? But like being here with you,
Yeah.
it's like looking in the mirror in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Finally,
It's like
someone
someone who
understands.
gets what I do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? In their own way, but it's like it's just weird like that. So when I do meet people like that,
Yeah.
it's like we could have conversation for 20 hours, dude. Like,
Yeah.
we could sit here. We're done talking about DJing, and now we're talking about production. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Or we're talking about, you know, finding sounds for our VSTs or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
We could be at it for hours. You know what I mean? And I get it.
Some people's like biggest problems like right now is they just had 2 flat tires. They don't have the money to afford to get new tires.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're gonna do. Their life's upside down. And like me and Pete Down, our biggest problem is we can't get the right fucking snare for our damn remix. Right? Like we're very blessed. We are very, very blessed to do what we do, to service like the DJ world in the way that we do for as many years as we do. It's great to call you a friend, someone in the industry that I can look up to, that I know I can always go to your Pete Down edits, and that there's always going to be something there that gets me excited to want to play.
Right.
Right.
I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah. Thanks for coming into the studio.
Thanks for having me.
Hopefully we can have you on here again. Maybe I can get Johnny as well, and we can do another episode and kind of dive into other areas of what we do, known as the DJ remixer world, right?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right. So like with every show, we have a mix segment, and now we're going to get into today's mix, and we're going to play a few Pete Down edits on this one.
Nice.
All right.
Get ready for your sugar high with coffee and candy.
Drop your glasses, shake, face screwed up like you having hot flashes. Which one? Pick one. This one, classic. Red from blind, yeah, jump drastic. Why this? Why that? Lip stop fasting. Listen to me, baby, relax and start passing. Expressway, head back, weaving through the traffic. This one's strong, should be labeled as a hazard. Some of y'all top sites, I'm gassing. Clowns, I spot 'em and I can't stop laughing. Easy come, easy go, Evie gon' be lasting. Jealousy, let it go, results could be tragic. Some of y'all ain't writing well, too concerned with fashion. None of you ain't Giselle, can't walk in imagine. A lot of y'all Hollywood drama, pass it, cut, camera off, real, blast it.
I had to give you more. It's only been a year. I had to give you more. It's only been a year. I had to give you more. I had to give you more. I had to give you more. It's only been a year. Now I've got my foot through the door, and I ain't going nowhere. It took a while to get me, and I'm gonna take my time. No fuss, that's it, yeah. Now let me blow your mind.
gangster, too much to do. Snakes in my path, wanna stop on that. Now while you gritting your teeth, frustration, baby, you got to breathe. Take a lot more than you can get rid of me. You see, I do what they can't do. I just do me. Ain't no threats when it comes to stage. Get what you see. Meet me in the lab, pen and pad, don't believe. 16's mine. Create my own lines. Love for my wordplay, that's hard to find. Sophomore, I ain't scared, one of a kind. All I do is contemplate ways to make your fans mine. Eyes bloodshot, stress and chills up your spine. Sick to your stomach, wishing I wrote your rhyme.
I had to give you more. It's a feeling for you. I had to give you more. It's a feeling for you. I had to give you more. Let me blow your mind. I had to give you more. It's a feeling for you. Now I've got my foot through the door, and I ain't going nowhere. It took a while to get me, and I'm gonna take my time. Don't fight that energy. Now let me blow your mind. I had to give you more. It's a feeling for you. Now I've got my foot through the door, and I ain't going nowhere. It took a while to get me, and I'm gonna take my time. Don't fight that energy. Now let me blow your mind.
Mire, el negro está rabioso, él quiere la calle y tú no se lo das. Esa morena está sabrosa y cuando tú la tocas ella se vuelve loca. Let's go, ladies.
Ladies, you can wear it home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. I know your fellas think you go with friends, cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping, jumping. Ladies, you can wear it home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. I know your fellas think you go with friends, cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping, jumping. Ladies, you can wear it home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. I know your fellas think you go with friends, cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping, 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 jumping. And the club is jumping, jumping. Ladies, you can wear it home. Cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping. Ladies, you can wear it home. Cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping. Ladies, you can wear it home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. Fellas, you can go with friends, cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping, jumping. Ladies, you can wear it home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. I know your fellas, you can go with friends, cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping. Ladies, you can wear it home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. Fellas, you can go with friends, cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping, jumping. Ladies, you can wear it home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. I know your fellas, you can go with friends, cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping.
About no exes. On my body, I'm the bestest. Diamonds keep dancing on my necklace. stay matched like the rest is. On photo, my drip was the same. Hit a Benny when I need a change. Made it out soon as I got fame. Walking past and they yelling my name. Damn, like we going cool. I'm a fan, but I'm keeping my cool. And I like it when you call me boo. Babe, I just wanna do what you do. With your thoughts, I'm taking a spot. Just know that I am what they not. I'ma help you get back at the op. Babe, can I come when you spinning they block? And I swear that you be on my mind. Yeah, I'm living for you, I'll make time. Just waiting, you skipping the line. I was debating on making you mine. And you fly, I can tell by your belt. And you make with the cars, you was dope. By my side, then you taking no L. He all like, damn, I see you making me melt. Got a man, but I hope you don't care. When I'm with him, I wish he was there. Fucking nervous, but you know I'm not scared. When he think he knows shit isn't fair. Flexing together, I know we go better. We stay high, it don't matter the weather. He's mad that he getting me wetter. Damn, I ain't for this way forever. I bet he gon' do what she like. So what's your sign, cause I like you, right? Got a place we can stay for the night. But I'm too shy to invite you. You got a gangsta vibe, and I want a gangsta food. Wanna put dangerous car. I'm tryna see how a gangsta move.
Some drugs in my homies and love before rap, I was playing the back box. I don't know if I'm hard, just too bad. But just shit look like you got shot. She that bitch like the option. The boy try to slide and they see me, I'm giving a back shot. I'm like, I see this shit looking fat. I'm a gangster, I keep it legit. I gon' hold you, I told her some secrets. So she know I be on that. So not too much know what you know. That's when she told me, daddy, I'm sick. If the boys ever try to come press me, I'ma tell them no out of English. Together we sound like British. They can't do it like you in English. Fuck the ops, so you ready for beef? So you know what to do with the. See, I don't photo go quick. Like who next tryna go on my list? If we throw it before we go, I'ma need up and go on my split. My little shorty, I treat her like game. And she don't treat me like no rap. I'm the youngest to do it, you had a shot blue with. Of course she gon' leave you my sack bigger. That little nigga ain't nothing like me. And I'm definitely nothing like that. Run around, go fight. So you better tell him I cut.
A baddie gon' do what she like. So what's your sign, cause I like you, right? Got a place we can stay for the night. But I'm too shy to invite you. You got a gangsta vibe, and I want a gangsta food. Wanna put dangerous car. I'm tryna see how a gangsta move.
sugar. If it's sweet, bring that sugar. 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 If it's sweet, bring that sugar. If it's sweet, I might lick it from your teeth. Bring that sugar. If it's sweet, if it's spicy, bring the heat. Sugar. If it's sweet, if it's spicy, bring the heat. Bring that sugar. If it's sweet, if it's spicy, bring the heat.
I take you to the candy shop. I let you lick the lollipop. Go ahead, girl, don't you stop. We gon' really hit the spot.
Bring that sugar.
When you think of what I got, I have to feeling on you got. We gon' really hit the spot.
Bring that sugar. 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 If it's sweet, bring that sugar. 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 If it's sweet, bring that sugar. If it's sweet, I might lick it from your teeth. Bring that sugar. If it's sweet, if it's spicy, bring the heat. Bring that sugar. Sugar. Bring that sugar. Sugar. Bring that sugar. Sugar. Bring that sugar. Sugar.
Is it better when I go than leave you on your own? Is it really what you want? Is it something that I said that makes you turn your head and leave me in the cold? Do you hear me when I talk? Or recognize me from my thoughts? Never see me through your wall. Do you hear me when I talk? Do you hear me? Do you hear me when I talk? 'Cause I
music never sleeps with Coffee and Candy.
Everybody wants a piece of me, there's no peace for me. Everybody wants a piece of me, there's no peace for me. Everybody wants a piece of me, there's no peace for me. Everybody wants a piece of me, there's no peace for me. Everybody wants a piece of me, there's no peace for me. Everybody wants a piece of me, there's no peace for me. Oh, this peace ain't free.
You're tuned in with Coffee and Candy.